All right, everyone, we're back with Dave Kennedy from Fidelity Land Title. Hey, Dave.
Hey, how are you?
I'm great. How are you
Good.
today?
I'm doing great. Yeah.
All right, we're somewhat post-COVID. I don't know if we're post yet, but what are some of the best practices that you think are going to stick around that people are asking for, and what do you think is going to like go away?
Yeah.
I
So,
know
I
what I
mean,
want.
yeah, I think I know what you want too. No closing, right? No.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, as bad as this whole COVID thing was, and not to say we're completely out of it, but it does seem like things are starting to kind of get back to, business as usual. Offices are open, restaurants are open,
Right.
things, pretty much everything is starting to be kind of phased, being opened up. It's kind of crazy to think. I was talking to Alan today with Team Synergy here
Hey.
for us at the title company, things were different, but we were here the whole time, and it's been I guess a little bit different experience for us as opposed to other people that were forced to stay home throughout this. But like I said, if there was something kind of good to come out of it, I think might be the way maybe we are handling doing closings. I think there's a lot of things that we've tried during this that I
Yeah.
think that agents and buyers and sellers are really liking. And one of those is like I said, kind of how we're handling the closing. So
How are you doing
uh,
it? I mean,
yeah,
I know
so
how,
right.
but
So how we've been doing is if we can, obviously try to limit our contact with people, the amount of time that they're spent interacting with us, actually physically.
right.
We're doing what we do is has been working with doing Zoom calls to review documents ahead of time.
And I
Um,
really like that a lot because that's something that we as the agents can be a part of too. And
right,
it does help our clients feel like we're there because when they get then to the closing, you've already reviewed all the documents, they've
right,
answered all the questions. It
yep,
takes about 30 minutes if they're a buyer, right?
right, yep,
And it's in order from when they
right.
saw it on the Zoom call too.
Yep. Yeah. So what we do is we have the exact package that you would sign at the closing. We have it, available for you to review during our call. Like you said, agents hop on the call, so they're there. They can answer the questions that they would normally do. We review all the documents, and they're able to, ask any questions that they might have. And sometimes I'm starting to see that I think people ask more questions because they feel more comfortable because they know that this meeting is all about them. Whereas
Right.
opposed to a roundtable closing, they're sitting in a room and there's an agent there that listing agent that they've never met. A lot of times there's sellers there, or vice versa. You're a seller and you've got your
Right.
buyers there, and nobody wants to sit there and hold up the entire room while they're asking questions about their loans.
Right.
So I feel like maybe people feel like a little bit more free to be able to ask questions and get their questions answered.
It's
So
also more efficient too, because I mean, it
right,
is only taking a half an hour and then you're done.
right,
You're not driving there, taking an hour, trying to make
right.
chit chat and then
Exactly. Yeah.
driving
The
back.
amount of time that you're actually spending at our office is, 10, 15 minutes.
Right.
And they don't, if you and your spouse or, anyone, if you're your business partner, anybody that you're doing, business with, like, you don't all have to come in at the exact same time either.
Right.
So, we've got notaries here that can sign pretty much, we obviously have been scheduling them because we can't have a bunch of people showing up at the same exact time.
Right.
But we're able to handle a closing wherever, do them, schedule them a lot closer than we normally would do when we have a big roundtable closing.
Which is nice for
Right.
everyone. Now,
It's,
I know that you do the e-notary.
yeah.
Are a
Mhm.
lot of banks starting to take advantage of that, or are you still getting pushback?
Yeah, so that was the one thing I wanted to mention today. It seemed like to me that at the beginning, when this all started happening and everybody was
Hmm.
getting shut down, there was this huge push by lenders to do e-notary, to
Okay.
have their documents e-notarized, and there was all this great momentum pushing, say, let's do it, let's do it, let's do it. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, which is everybody know, like kind of government agency that involved with mortgages, even allowed, sitting there saying that you can sell your mortgages on the secondary market, which that was like the big fear for the lenders is, well, are we going to be able to bundle and sell these loans after we give
Right.
them out? The federal government saying, yeah, go ahead. So we thought there was going to be all this, there was a lot of momentum towards getting it actually done, but it seems like maybe, I don't know, maybe it's slowed down a bit, and they see that the title companies have been able to get things done, and they've kind of maybe pushed us back towards business as usual. So still, I don't think there's any fully e-closing out there, that
Bummer.
we're handling. So, but there are, like I said, a push towards, hybrid type closings where a lot of documents are signed ahead of time. But like you said, so we're doing the e-notary. We do a lot of sellers ahead of time, e-notarize. Like I said, the nice thing about these transactions is, everybody here in Cincinnati feels like we need to sit down and do a closing at a round table, but they don't understand that we can have a seller sign a week in advance.
Yeah, it doesn't even matter.
We'll just
Right.
hold your deed in escrow, collect your information to how you want to get your funds after the closing, and we can have the seller sign ahead of time. So then, it's time for the actual quote unquote closing. The seller's already been taken care of. And like I said, I was mentioning to you another time that, I've never really understood the idea of a room full of people listening to somebody's financial situation.
I don't want people listening to mine.
Right. Yeah. So the idea, and that's one thing that I'm thinking maybe can come out of this, is the fact that we can maybe separate buyers and sellers a little bit more, and just make the whole process a little bit smoother. And like you said, if you've had all your questions answered about your loan, about the transaction, when it comes to actual, closing, signing, it's a way more joyous kind of experience, because there's not
It's
that
not
pressure.
stressful.
Yeah, you know
Right.
what you're coming in to sign, and it's just a matter of just coming in there and actually executing documents and having your signature notarized.
Right.
So,
And you're not being watched. I think that's
right.
yeah. Are you seeing that? So are agents beginning to ask to continue that, or are they trying to push back to the round table?
I think that at first everybody was super nervous about how we're going to do this. And I think now people are starting to see like the benefits of not having to do, this, a full blown sit down buyer seller closing. And I think there's a lot of agents are kind of actually, enjoying this and have asked, are you going to continue to do this? And, my answer is yes. Anything that we can do to make the transaction easier and smoother for, the customers, and then, agents alike, we're going to continue to do. So we're going to continue to offer, our limited contact closings, and try to push for buyers and sellers separate. Now there's some circumstances where maybe a buyer and a seller, do want to get together to do the closing if they know each other, and you certainly want to accommodate that. But
Sure.
I think it's just it's going to be kind of a mind shift. A philosophy shift,
right?
Because Cincinnati is one of the only areas that still does a round table closing. So
yeah, that's always a shock to us, because we're we think we're the center of the universe, but I guess we're not.
So they do these escrow closings everywhere else, and the closing doesn't actually take place until we actually transfer the property and record the mortgage and deed. And everything else is just kind of done ahead of time. So
yeah. Well, it's good that at least, one good thing can come out of this.
Right. So
now we just got to get the lenders on board.
Right. Yeah. No. So we just got to get all the lenders to fully embrace the e-notarization, and in that case, we can do 95 for everything but the keys.
Right. Exactly.
And then maybe a handshake at the end if we ever get back to that.
If we get back. Well, no, I heard the guns are coming back.
Yeah. Not soon enough.
No, exactly. I am seeing the buyers and sellers though do more of the walkthrough together now.
Yeah. Okay.
Especially if it's a house that has some electronics and stuff like that, it's easier to do that at the house than bring all that crap to the closing anyway.
Yeah, and that was what I was going to ask you. What's changed, and that makes a lot of sense to me, because sometimes people try to get try to do that at their closing. And it's like you've already sat there for an hour and gone over loan documents that have nothing to do
Right.
with you, and you're
It's
just
too
trying to sell your
much.
house. Now it's just like, okay, get me out of here. Whereas
Right.
if you get a chance to get together, you can maybe at the property, man, now you
Right.
got you got a real leg up, and you can show them, hey, this door does close, just give it a little bit of a lift, that type of
Right.
stuff. Yes.
Exactly.
You see anything else different as far as listing and selling properties?
Yeah, the only other thing that we're doing a lot of is, which I don't really like, but we're not allowing a bunch of showings at once.
Mm-hmm.
And now the showings are like much shorter. So we're doing like 30-minute increments, and then they're all like back to back to back to back to back.
Right.
As a listing agent, I mean, let's assume nobody's going to die or get sick, right?
Right. Right.
Then I would prefer that all the buyers be there at one time to create that like auction effect.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
this like 30 minutes back to back to back is creating more anxiety
Mm-hmm.
than anything. And it's anxiety in the agents too, because if we're showing 4 properties, you can't always, I mean,
Right.
geez, we need like a longer time
A
frame than
slot.
30 minutes.
Well, and I don't know what your experience with this is, but since we're doing, we're super busy, we're lining up closings back to back to back, and our
Yeah.
goal is never to have clients, here at the same time. Man, if one group's late,
You're done.
it's the whole day is now,
Yep.
now you're scrambling to try to get things back on schedule. Sometimes, you think that you've got this efficient plan in place, but
And
man, it
it's
gets.
now we're opening up a whole big can of worms. Or should we or shouldn't we allow occupancy at closing in
Yeah.
occupied properties? I
Uh-huh.
mean, that's
Yeah.
like a whole can of worms that I will
Yeah.
not open and not get on my soapbox about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I really appreciate it. I mean, I'm excited for these new innovations. I think it makes us all more efficient. It makes it makes the experience for the client a lot better too,
Hmm.
because they do, like you said, feel more like it's their time,
Right.
and they also don't feel so rushed because they're not taking necessarily off work. They could do it like go over the paperwork on their lunch break and then just
Yep.
come and sign and be done. Like they
Hmm.
don't have to, you know what I mean? It was so
Right.
dramatic before.
It is. I felt like there was a lot of unneeded anxiety building up
Yeah.
to the closing that's not necessary. And like you said, I mean, when you're buying or selling a house, I mean, there's no purchase or sale that you're ever going to do in your life that is as big as this.
Right.
And to have that personal experience, I feel like you deserve it. So,
Yeah. I like
um,
it better. I'm glad we're partners, Dave.
yeah,
I
me too.
appreciate you.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate
Have
you
a great
guys.
rest of the day.
All right. You too. Have a good one.
See ya.